Okay, for exercise number 5, you have to find the volume of your cone. So for this one, your cone has a diameter of 6 meters and has a height of 3 meters. Okay, in your book or in what you have here shows your center. There's a right angle there. All right. Now we know that the formula for finding the volume is V equals 1/3 pi r squared times h. And we're given h, and we're given the diameter, but we need the radius. So we know that h equals 3, d equals, which is diameter, equals 6, but the radius will equal half of d, which is 3, right? So we can plug all those values in to find the answer. So we'll say volume equals 1/3 pi 3 squared times 3. Right, so all of these are actually multiplying together across. And you can just type all that in your calculator to find the answer. So taking a calculator, let's get some room up here. So we can say 1/3, so we have 1/3 times pi times 3 squared times 3 equals, and we get 28.2743388, and your problem wants you to round that off to the nearest tenth. So V equals 28.274, so forth. But we're only rounding it to the nearest tenth. So V in this case will equal to 8.7 here, so that would be 0.3. And that is for exercise number 5. For exercise number 8, we can do the same thing. So you have a cone, picture on here is an upside down cone, and the radius is given, which is 5 centimeters. So we'll say, oh my god, I give enough room. So we'll say that this radius is 5 centimeter, and then your height is 8 centimeters. Okay, and then we know that the volume equals 1/3 pi r squared times height. We're given height. The height equals 8, and we're given r, which equals 5. And then we can just multiply, just plug it in and multiply everything together. So we can say V equals 1/3 pi 5 squared times 8. Get a calculator again, and we can say 1/3 times pi times 5 squared times 8. And we get 209.4395102. So V equals 209.4395102. But we're rounding to the nearest tenth. Now your answer says 209.3. Mine says otherwise. So we have 209.4, so it stays 4. That's what I got. But your book says 209.3. But this is what my calculator says, and you can see the numbers that we put in here. So that works out. Okay. The only thing I can think of is maybe for pi, they might want you to use 3.1416. We can try that, or just 3.14 and see if that makes a difference. So let's go back and try that. So for pi, I'll type in 3.14 times 5 squared is 25 times 8. See if that makes a difference. Oh yeah. So looks like your teacher wants you to use 3.14. I didn't type in the 16, but 3.14. Well, let me see if I could do it with 3.1416. 3.1416 times 25 times 8. Oh, great. Let's try that one more time. Okay, so we have 1/3 times 3.1416 times 25 times 8. Okay, so he wants you to use 3.14. So instead of hitting the pi key on your calculator, use 3.14 for your calculations. Because when I use 3.14, right, 3.14 instead of pi, I don't get this value. Instead, I got 3.14 times 25 times 8. Right? Okay. And I got 209.33333. So that would equal 209 point, and so on. But since we're rounding to the nearest tenth, it would be 209.3. And that's what your book says. So use the 3.14 when you're doing your calculations. So let's do the next one. Let's do number 12. Right. So for number 12, let me see what I have here. We have find the volume of a cone again. We have the cone, and we are given the diameter this time. So your diameter is 4 centimeters. And your height is 8 centimeters. Okay, and we're going to round the answer to the nearest tenth. So again, we have the formula, which is V equals 1/3 pi r squared times h. And just like we did before, we can plug everything in based on the information that we have. So we have the height, so we know that h equals 8. And we have the diameter, which equals 4. We need the radius, so radius would equal 2. We're just dividing 4 in half. And we're going to use, for pi, we're going to use 3.14 this time. Now we can just plug everything in. So we have volume equals 1/3 times 3.14 times 2 squared times 8. Okay, we can simplify that to 1/3 times 3.14 times 2 squared is 4 times 8. And then we can just multiply all that all together. Move it up a little bit. Okay, so I can take 1/3, and remember when I type in 1/3, you're typing 1, this ABC, and 3. That's how you get 1/3 times 3.14 times 4 times 8 equals, and I have 33.4933, etc. But we're rounding to our nearest tenth, and we have to raise it up to 5 because 9 is the next number. So our answer is going to be 33.5 centimeters. Oh, cubed. Oh yeah, let's make sure. Since we're looking for volume, each of these answers should be whatever the unit of measure, in this case centimeters cubed for number 8. For number 5, we're doing meters, so the answer will be meters cubed. Okay, and your answer was 33.5, so definitely don't use the pi button on your calculator. Instead, substitute that with 3.14. Okay, and then you have one more, which will be looking for the height this time. So that means we're going to juggle things around just a little bit. And that will be for exercise number 16. Okay, and here you're given, let's see, you're given the width or the diameter, and you're given the volume. So we have a cone again. Right here, we're given the width, which is 10 centimeters. And we're given the height. Well, we're not given the height, we're just given h for the height. But they have provided the volume, and the volume is 225 centimeters cubed. So start off with the actual formula, which is V equals 1/3 pi r squared times height. We know that in this case V equals 225, pi equals 3.14, D equals 10, but we need R. So R is half of 10, because that would be the radius, right? This is the diameter, but what we want is just the radius, half of that. So R equals 5, right? Okay. And I think that's all we need. We don't know what the height is. That's what we're trying to solve. So we're going to put the formula together, and we're going to isolate h. So I would say V equals 1/3 pi r squared times h. Just write the formula again. Before you plug anything in, isolate h first. And the way we isolate h is we want to get rid of everything here. So that means we're going to divide both sides by everything I just circled there. So we'll go 1/3 pi r squared on this side and 1/3 pi r squared on that side. So now we have canceled out pi r squared and we have h all by itself like we want. So we have to rewrite our formula and then we can plug everything in. So this would become volume over 1/3 pi r squared equals h. So all we did was just change the way the formula looks so that h is by itself. And the only way to do that would be to isolate h and divide 1/3 pi r squared on the right side of the equation by 1/3 pi r squared to cancel it out. So whatever we do to one side of the equation, we have to do to the other side. Okay, now we have it set up properly. Now we can plug in our values. So we have volume is 225. So we can write 225 divided by, let me bring this up a little more, divided by, let me see, 1/3 pi r squared. So we can say 1/3, we know pi is 3.14 times 3.14 times r squared. So we can say r is 5 squared, right? And again with PEMDAS, if we think about this, we do parentheses first, we do exponents next. There's no parentheses, but there are exponents. There's one exponent there, which is a squared. So this becomes, oh, and this equals h. This becomes 225 divided by 1/3 times 3.14 times 25. Okay, we've simplified everything as much as we can. So let's plug in the values in our calculator to find h. All right. So the only difference when we do this in the calculator is since we have a denominator, we're going to make sure that we have to put parentheses around it in the calculator. If you don't put the parentheses around it, your calculation will be off, and I'll show you. But first I'll do it the right way, and then I'll not include the parentheses so you see the difference. All right, so we start off with, so we have 225 divided by, let me turn it on, 225 divided by, all right, hit the divided by button here. Now I'm going to put my parentheses, which is here, and I'm going to plug in everything else on the bottom of the equation. So I'll plug in 1/3, which is 1, ABC 3, times 3.14, 3.14, right? I don't know if you can see that. Times 25, times 25, close the parenthesis, so this is how it'll look. And then you hit enter. And our answer is 8.5987, etc. equals h, and we're rounding to the nearest tenth. And since that's a 9, 59, well, that's going to become 60, right? So our answer will be 8.6, because we're only doing the nearest tenth. Don't add the 0, I'll just leave it as 6. Because if you add the 0, then that's the nearest hundredth. We don't want to do that. Our unit of measure is centimeters, so we're going to say centimeters. And since it's not volume, we're just going to leave it like that, because we're only looking for the height. We're looking for one dimension, just the height. I think you can see all that. All right, and that should cover all the problems that you had questions about. And I'll send this right over.